just waiting for people to come in. And then we'll start. Just give it a minute or two. I feel like I need to start, even though there's, so I'm going to just start because I have a hard cutoff tonight too. How the energy has been working up to, I think, an intense, even more intense frenzy than we've had a long time. I always say that I don't think it can get quicker, and it seems to always do. And we are building into some really big dates that normally happen every year. It's just that with the energy that we have of 2021, they seem to be more intense. So we are building into some big astrological stuff. I'll talk a little bit about where we are with the higher self integration. I'll talk about a buzzword that I am seeing in the spiritual communities and what my view of that is, or what I've been shown it to be. And I'll also talk about some of the themes that I'm seeing with clients that seem to be around and part of the clearing that many of us, I think, are being asked to do. So, and I'm also shuffling cards for a reading for the map cards that I use to see what the current energy wants to tell us. Right now we're building into the next eclipse cycle. Until I was doing this, I didn't realize that there's an eclipse cycle every year, and it's always during the summer. So we'll have our first full lunar eclipse next Wednesday on the full moon. I don't know if it'll be visible here in the States. I haven't been able to look at it that deeply. But that energy is already building in. And maybe you can feel it. Like there's some really deep stuff that seems to be coming up for me and my clients right now. Like deep stuff. It's like the deep, dark stuff that we either couldn't get to before, or it wasn't ready to come through yet, or whatever it is. I said, so we are moving through that slowly but surely. And the eclipse energy with the full moon, anytime that there's a full moon, it's always big shifting of energy, potentially big clearing, but the eclipse magnifies it. And eclipses always bring in large change. Now, it doesn't mean that on Wednesday there's going to be some huge thing. It just means that it's priming the switch for something major to shift after the eclipse. And how long after the eclipse is, I'll say it's known, but it's not necessarily known by your conscious self. So, but one of the things that may be happening is that you may be experiencing anxiety, potentially very strange dreams right now. Dreams of barren places, or places that maybe had war and destruction. And that's because we are approaching something during the summer that some of us have already experienced. So some of us are from the future. And this means that we have already lived future timelines. And for a long time, always been the potential of having conflicts between a future timeline and the current timeline that you're on as warnings or trauma. But right now, in the window that we're in right now, there's almost like an intersection that's coming in where that future timeline you may have lived is parallel with the current timeline. Now, you can muscle test whether you are from a future timeline to find out if this is something that you should be working out for yourself. This future timeline that no longer exist, had some really devastating things that happened during 2020. And if you happen to be someone who lived through that, you could potentially be having dreams right now of memories of that time. So there are certain things that have been happening in the last couple of weeks with the Schumann resonance, the CMEs from the sun, that are reminiscent of the time before these other events happened in that future timeline that doesn't exist anymore in 2021. So if you find yourself having those strange dreams, know that that could be part of it. And I worked on it with myself. I have had a client or two as well who has had similar experiences with really strange dreams, anxiety, and nausea that they have not had before. And it's because your cell's memory or your soul's memory is remembering that parallel future timeline and what happened then. Even though through your redo of this lifetime, I have to go get my phone. Why? Hope nobody's trying to contact me. Through this future timeline, we experience some really, really not good stuff. And we to make sure it's cleared so that we're not re-triggering that stuff. We don't want to manifest proof of it. We don't want to. This is weird. My computer typing really strange. Okay, let's give me a reminder for an appointment I had 7 hours ago. Okay. We have to make sure, where am I? Make sure that we've cleared all that. We don't want to manifest any proof of what happened in that timeline because it's been collapsed. It's been collapsed based on the events that have happened previous to this that have changed their outcomes. So if you find yourself having weird dreams, some anxiety, nausea that seems uncharacteristic for you, I would muscle test to make sure that you don't have a future timeline conflict that is bringing some of this up. And if you do, then you need to work on healing it, releasing the trauma of it, forgiving whoever was involved, and so forth, so that you can collapse it and fully align with the new timeline that's available now. But that's the energy we're building into right now. The energy of said events that happened in that future 2021 timeline that doesn't exist anymore. And there are things that are still happening, maybe in your own life or energetically or collectively, that are reminding you of that future timeline. Not all of it has shifted. Still the same players. And still some of the same conflicts. So there is a higher timeline available that does not require the suffering that some of us went through on that other timeline. And you just have to let it go. In my session with clients, Metatron pretty much came through with this. He's asking us to let go of this other timeline without seeing the future of what this one looks like. Remember, we're in the journey to the unknown. We're into the trustful in the universe, letting go of energetics, right? They want us to let go and trust the universe, that if we let go of this future timeline that some of us already lived that was not great for us, that we trust that the universe will provide something better, and that we don't have to go through the pain and suffering that many of us went through on a future timeline and have come back to redo. Thank you, Elaine. I was wondering what happened to some of you. I was trying to get back to Google Voice, and I left my cell phone somewhere, not in this room. So if you're finding yourself having some really deep things come up, things that seem not uncharacteristic, but nausea, feeling really uneasy, having what I'll call it deja vu a little bit. It may be because you lived a future timeline that looks just like the one we have now, which had a very devastating bump or two during this year that have not happened yet. So if you are that person, you need to clear this so that you can free yourself from that timeline and not have to go through the fear and believe that a different outcome is possible. And it is a word that I keep hearing in the spiritual community. Now, I don't listen to a lot of people anymore. I don't have the time. My days are so full. I just don't have the time. So when I start to hear repetition in words, even though I don't consciously connect to a lot of people right now, even Amanda, I really just haven't had time to listen to that stuff. I was hearing the same word over and over again, and the word was rapture. Now, some people know what that is, and some people don't know what that is. And if you are familiar with the book of Revelations, it is very much the Christian version of the apocalypse. And when I hear things repetitious wise, when it's not in my consciousness, I know that my higher self is trying to tell me something about myself that I need to clear. Like, what is it about that word? Why do I keep hearing that word? And I know we'll stop once I have looked inside and tried to figure out what that is. In my future timeline, had rapture. And the clients that I worked with this week also had similar. And we need to let go of that, because while many people would lead you to believe that it's something outside of you, it's something inside of you. We are, since November of last year, we have been in what I call a void. We're letting go of the old, but yet we're still not quite sure of the new. And it's been kind of like a patience and trusting to be in this void, to think that, okay, what's coming is better, and how long do I have to stay here? And the energy that's coming in this summer is your new chapter. So we have the eclipse next week that starts the buildup of this energy. We have a lunar eclipse next Wednesday and a full moon. We have a solar eclipse on June 10th. We have the equinox on June 21st. We have Zeptepi, which they call the Egyptian New Year, on July 24th, and then Lionsgate on 8/8. Those are all very, very potent days. They always are. But it's all building into that. The equinox is about renewal and new beginnings. So where this all happens, I'm not really sure. When we were back in December and January, people would ask me, like, when is this going to get better? When can I breathe a little bit? When can it not be so stressful? And I kept hearing end of February, early March. And we did start to see the egg start to break there a little bit, where things could move a little bit and have more flowingness. And then it became, okay, so when do we get to the next step where things are even more open? And I always hear summer. So I'm getting more information on what that is. And it's this energy, the same thing that some of us witnessed on this other future timeline that has been collapsed. It's just that we're still energetically tied to it, some of us. That it doesn't have to look like that. Just like all of the frequency and ascension and all of that is nothing to do with the outside. It's all within you. We are going through a rebirth process where we are rebirthing our higher selves into our physical bodies, which has never been done before. Usually you have to die and come back as a baby to get a new skin suit. And in this lifetime, we're getting a chance to rebirth fully into our higher self. If not fully, maybe partially, depending on what your higher self has agreed to. And I feel like we're building to the crescendo of that. And I heard that word yesterday too, and it's definitely not a word I use. Now, it would be about mid-year, right? So in June. So we're building into this energy. And if it reminds any of your DNA, Akashic records, soul of a timeline that you lived before, it will bring up anxiety. But pay attention to it because it's a clue to help you clear it so that you don't have to go through that bumpiness again. I do know it won't happen that way, that it happened, whatever that future timeline was, because it's gone. It's already shifted. But that's what's coming in the summer. This energy specifically, I have been told it's June, which isn't that far away. And I always get these tidbits just before they happen. They normally don't give me 6 months in advance. So I know that it's like on par. And being what I'm seeing in clients, I know that we're approaching some tipping point. And the tipping point is not out there. There's nothing that's supposed to happen outside of us that's supposed to reach that tipping point. It's in us. And regardless of where you are on your spiritual path and what work you've been doing, what reading you're doing, know that you have done what you are supposed to do up to this point based on your higher self to prepare for this. There isn't anything that you forgot to do or didn't do enough of, or that you have to work on worthiness or anything. Your higher self has already gotten you where you need to be in order to cross this crescendo. In June, we have some really potent number days. We have 6-3. Anytime 3, 6, and 9 are the ones that Tesla always used to talk about. So we've got 6-3, 6-6, 6-9, 6-12. So there is a lot of energy there. And being raised Roman Catholic, 666 was like the devil sign. But if you look it up, you'll find the truth of what that really is. And it's not that. I forgot what it was, but it's not. I always say the things that, in my development, the things that my religion or culture taught me to stay away from were probably the things I should be doing, or the things that I should be paying attention to, because there's something that isn't in truth of what they're saying, or it's almost like a way for my soul to flag the things that I should be paying attention to and not be afraid of. Hopefully that makes sense. And 666 is one of those. I think it means, I wish I had my phone, but it's definitely not what they call the mark of the beast and all of that stuff. It is not that. And I don't know what they call it in other, let's see. I wish I had my phone, but I don't. So let me quickly check. And you have to be careful because, of course, a lot of these say that it is, but it's not. But there are many things that, if I look back at my childhood, where, let's say, my parents or priests or catechism told us to stay away from, are now things that I embrace. Oracle cards, crystals, pendulums, energy healing, all of those things. So there's something with the energy of 666. I'm just going to say it. It's not 666. It's going to be 665, right? Because 2021 is 5, but it's still 66. So we're building into that. That's only what, 2 weeks away? 2.5 weeks away? So if you're starting to feel edgy, know that there is some energy building in for June that is, they're saying it can be tricky, but it will only be tricky if you do not stay in neutral point, which I always talk about neutral point, or stay in your heart. When you go into fear or anger, resentment, that's what makes it tricky. And if you do find yourself there, then you have some inner work to do to figure out why. So this is the energy we're building into. I find it somewhat fascinating and exciting, which I find interesting because I know a lot of people are feeling fear and they've not felt fear before. But I just sense we're reaching an end zone, they're saying, where we get to begin a new chapter. And I have goosebumps, so there's something going on here. I was describing it to a client yesterday, November, where, your whole life, this life, your past lives are considered, let's say, a chapter in a book. And from the fall time, you were asked to flip the page to a new chapter, but it stayed vertical. It never made it down to the other side, because this is that void point where we're being asked to trust the universe to let go of the old, so that the foundation, which is what's supposed to be happening now, will come in when the page flips. And I get a sense that page is going to flip next month. And that's what we need to do. If you stay in your heart space, you're fine. It doesn't mean that you can't feel fear and you can't feel anger. You're human. It's normal. It's when you get stuck there that's the problem, where you cycle anger over and over and over again, or if you cycle fear over and over again. That's the issue. And it's that fear or the anger is actually a treasure chest if you allowed yourself to go there. Because if you allow yourself to dig inside and figure out where that actually came from, or why you feel the fear, which may not be in this lifetime at all, you may actually find something about yourself that fear is hiding, that makes you understand how much of a superpower you are. We all are. But through the trauma that we've experienced through many, many lifetimes, we've lost connection to it because of the crap that's happened to us. So as you peel back the fear and you peel back the anger and the resentment, you get closer and closer to remembering what you're really capable of doing. And I can tell you what you are doing now is a small, small, small thing compared to what you're originally able to do before you experience all this trauma. Because that's what it is in the end, trauma. Which then creates limiting beliefs that keep you in repeating the same pattern over and over again. And you have the ability to change that. You don't have to live by default. You can change it and shift it whatever way you want so that you have the outcome you want. In the past, 6 weeks or so, I've let go of a lot of things around how I thought I was going to run my business, how I was going to move forward with abundance. And I've had some things come in that I never thought I would do. Life Wave being one, which are the patches that stimulate stem cells. Teaching theta again. I never thought I would go back to doing that. I thought I had lived that and that was over. But I'm teaching theta healing again regularly, actually more regularly now than I have ever been. Everything is moving because I let go of needing it to have it one way. I'm responding calmly with information to reduce the fear others have. And that's important. That's a great thing. Don't react to other people's fear. And if you do, because again, we're human, know that it's because there's something you need to work on. It's not because necessarily that it rubbed off on you. It's just pointing to something in you that you need to heal. And we'll talk more, Elaine, about why you may be experiencing that on Monday. But the energy is shifting. And sometimes it's hard to get people to move right now. Or if you show them, show them a new way. Releasing, sometimes I burp, it happens. In this period of transition or transformation, which is really what we're in, some people can wildly embrace it and be like, let's see what the universe can do. I'm freaking ready and I'm tired of waiting, so let's effing do this. And some people are like, well, no, it's coming too fast. Like, I can't. I need to have everything stay the same, because if it don't stay the same, everything's going to fall apart and I don't know what I'm going to do. And you are witnessing both. If not in yourself, but people around you. Even before all this happened, there's books written about how people don't like change. And this is a change unlike anything any of us have experienced in a conscious body. So it's bringing up all kinds of stress bells, red flags, all of that stuff, right? Because they're signaling and it's triggering all this anxiety and resentment and jealousy and fear. Because these people don't have the tools to release it so that they can find truth in who they are and understand that there's nothing to be afraid of, they get stuck in this cycle and they just want somebody to tell them that's going to be okay. And you don't have to say that. Just listen to them and say, I hear you. I understand. I'm here for you when you're ready to know how I have worked past it. It doesn't have to be this way. There's a kindness and compassionate factor. They're all in their own place. So how do you show compassion and kindness to them while their world falls apart? Because literally that's what's happening. Now, many of you who listen to this have been on this journey for years. And your life has fallen apart slowly. And you knew how to recover and knew that it had to fall apart for something else to come in better. Those people you're interacting with don't understand that. They don't understand that it's changing to bring in something better. They just want to hold on to what they have, even though it might suck to death. It's still known. They know how to deal with it. They know how to manage it. They know how to ignore it. They know how to be in that, no matter how unhappy they are. And you can't assume where people are. Some people are scared as hell during this time because they don't know what the hell is happening. They don't know what their future is going to be. And some of them wear it on their facade and you can see it, and then others are hiding it really well and it's deep inside and they're working hard to make sure you don't see it because they don't want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be seen as falling apart. But what they don't understand is we're all falling apart. There's a reason why we're all falling apart. And they're saying all you need to be is a gentle net that they can fall into when they're ready. And you do that by being the leader of you, not being the leader of a group of people. Some of you might have that calling. I know that that's one of my things, but it's not for everyone. You're supposed to be the leader in your own life. And when you take command, you do the self-care and you work through your stuff and you show them another way because you're not suffering like they are. And eventually their suffering gets so bad that they go, what are you doing? And then you have the potential to just share what you're doing, not trying to change their opinion. You just share your story. You say, I've been working on changing my beliefs and working through the trauma that I had as a child, which has freed me up so I'm not fearful of people or whatever it is. And they see that changing you and what you are now because you did that for yourself and you plant a seed. That seed might grow instantly, and they might want to sign up right there, like, okay, show me how to do that. And then others will be like, it can't be that easy. And that's a big thing with our society and Western culture. We have been taught since a young age that it has to be hard, that we have to work hard, that we have to sacrifice, we have to suffer to get anywhere. So when you come to them with something that seems so easy as changing beliefs or forgiveness, the true element of forgiveness, they might think that's too easy. That can't possibly work. It's way too easy. I'm just supposed to forgive people and then it magically goes away and everything shifts? Or what? Because you're challenging their beliefs. Not because you disagree with their beliefs, but because you've changed yours and they're now different from yours. Just by you being you. That's how you become a leader of your own life. You drive your own life and create your own life based on your beliefs. And the people who want to come along will. Some may take some time. Awesome, Elaine. So yesterday when I was working with someone else, they gave me an analogy. Many of the children that are coming in now have gifts, and they're very psychically open. And thankfully, many of them have been born into parents that support them. Not all of them, but some. But I believe also that some of those kids have gifts that push our edges on what's possible. And I believe for those of us who have been doing the inner work for years, and I've been working on this stuff, that we also are here to push the edges. When someone invented an airplane, no one thought an airplane could fly. It was unheard of. Nothing had ever happened like that. Or a blimp, or whatever it is that they started with. The idea that something could hover above the earth, levitate, if you will, above the earth, and then fly above in the atmosphere at 400 miles per hour seemed like a really crazy notion. Like really crazy. But it was only because those people had the insight that they had gotten from source, who believed in it themselves or was willing to play with the idea of it, who then showed us that it was possible. And then what happened? Now we all just believe planes can fly because that's what we live. And these gifts that are going to come online for each of us and are coming online for the children are going to do the same thing. We are positioned to be hearing that word, way showers again, to show people what is really possible. Whether that be through new spiritual gifts that we can't even imagine right now because it's outside of what we believe is possible. But know that in another lifetime, we may well have done it. We just don't remember. And those kids, be it your grandkids or your kids or just kids you're around, are here to help you remember that because they have that gift already active. But those of us who are working on this are also part of that. As you start to open yourself up to more of your psychic senses, the ones that are accepted, you allow other people to see what's possible. Now, when I started to first work on this, I had no idea there was such a thing as smell-o-vision or clear smelling. I had no idea that was a thing. And I was watching a YouTube video and the woman was using sage. And I thought, and I don't have sage in my house. I'm not a big sage fan. and I could smell the sage. And I thought, huh? Like, what is happening? And I heard, you can energetically smell. And I'd never heard anyone else have it. But the minute I started to talk about it, people would come out and say, I think I have that too. It's because I'm sharing my experience. I'm getting people to believe in their own. And that's part of what we're doing. Regeneration of the body so that you can have a 20-year-old body even if you're 70. And that is possible. But you have to believe it's possible first. If you don't believe it's possible, you're going to have a hard time getting there. In your body, this mirrors what you believe is possible for it. If your body believes it's 60 and you're 40, all of your body's processes are going to act based on the fact that it thinks it's 60. Because your physical body, spiritual, and mental reflect your beliefs. So you can change that. You can change the belief so that at least it's the age that your birthday age is. That would be a big improvement. And then what happens is your body starts to reboot those processes that had been left to slide because it thought it was much older. So we're in that phase. And it's through us being the pioneers, if you will, who are willing to step onto the board and say, okay, I'm willing to play with this and see what's possible. We then show other people that it's possible. And that's what many of us are being asked to do. And that's all it is. There's nothing to push on anybody. There's nobody to debate. There's nobody to beg to come to the surface. It's all on their own time. They're on their own soul's journey. And we need to respect that. But know that as you do the work, you become a walking billboard for what is possible, which I think is really cool. I have super goosebumps tonight. What is happening? Must be speaking some serious truth. A Metatron. We have Metatron. Big surprise. And I'm sure he has something to say about this. And we could be 90 and have a body that's 20. Now, if you know muscle testing, you should test if you believe that's true. And you can change that. In my experience with this, because I am working towards rejuvenating my physical body, my body started to do things that I would have never done before. So for those of you who know me, I had a serious blood clot like 15 years ago, and I have damaged tissue from it. I was told that I would never walk again, so it was quite extensive. So I have discolored skin, and I have muscle issues and vein issues that is all from scarring. And I get edema. I used to get edema too. And there's just certain things I wouldn't do anymore because I didn't want to hurt it. And one of them is sumo squats. Now, hopefully you know what that is. That means, you squat and your butt's like on the ground. I haven't done one of those in years. I changed with the belief that my body thought it was 71 to 47. I go to an event and I was sumo squatting without even thinking about it. And every time I caught myself, I said, what the hell are you doing? You can't do this. And it was only because my mental did not believe my body had the capability to do a sumo squat. And when I changed that, now my body and my minds are in unison. Your mind is your belief systems. My body believed differently. You can change all that. I had a client the other day that we changed her body's age to her real age. And that's all she did. And she felt like she had more energy and more stamina. That's all we did. I mean, we did other things, but for that, that's all we did. because her body is now trying to reflect her real age, not the age her body thought she was. Now, she works night shifts, which, by the way, if you know somebody who works night shift, knows that that is hugely stressful in the body and probably does age you quite a bit, or has worked night shifts before. It's extremely stressful in the body, messing up sleep cycles, light, dark, totally screws with cortisol and all of your stress hormones. So we're pretty sure that's why her body thought it was as old as it was. And she was very surprised, as I was. But we have the capability to change all that. So when you change the belief that your body thinks it's 71 to your current age, and you shift, maybe you have more energy, more stamina, your skin gets clearer, maybe you heal faster. You plant seeds in other people to make them believe that they could do it too. But it's only because we've been told through generations that that's not possible. It is. And we are, those of us who find this in the space, are what they're calling them way showers. I keep hearing that name. We are the pioneers that will show other people what is possible. So we are the generation that will help the next iteration of flying planes to become possible. You can be any age you want. I was listening to somebody today who said that we could even live to be 150 years old if our quality of life was good. That's a belief. Maybe you don't want that. That's okay too. But it's a belief. I mean, in the Bible, I don't know, I'm gonna say it's Old Testament. There were people in the Bible who were like 200, 300 years old. I was reading people who were giving birth at 100. And I'm thinking to myself, how? Like, a couple decades ago, people didn't live to be past 40 and 50. It was like unheard of. But yet in the Bible, people were living to be 200, 300 years old. Right? Noah was 900 years old. How is it that we have people in the Bible who had life expectancies 100 times more than ours before the flood? So what changed in us that lowered our life capacity? And we're approaching a place where we can get that back if we want it. Your soul may not want to live to 900 in this body. You only want to be 100 or 90, whatever it is. But when people say, oh, it's not possible to be healthy at 120, I know there are people who have lived that long, had good quality of life. I always say, but people in the Bible were like 900 years old. How the hell did that happen? It almost seems like a fairy tale when people talk about how Noah was 900, and it's like, how? And people are having babies at like 100. And it's because somewhere, I don't know if it was in the flood, I'd probably have to look at that, there was a collective shift on like life expectancy. However that happened, I'm not really sure. That lowered our life expectancy. And we're now pushing the edge to realize that we don't have to, not our life expectancy is actually greater than it was like early 1900s. But we're reaching a point now where we can even go beyond that. And because our higher selves are integrating into our physical bodies during this phase that we're in, our higher selves want to be in a younger body. They want more time, I'm hearing. See? I know they're there. I don't remember the names. I remember reading that there were people in the Bible, they're like, oh, it's, someone goes 250 years old. And I'm thinking, that I haven't read the Bible since I was in college. And I definitely didn't know anything about this. And I just remember reading it going, like, it didn't seem real. But now it does because I understand more of what's possible, and it's about beliefs. And trauma, maybe there was trauma somewhere around the flood stage that changed our genome that prevented us from having longer lifespan. I'd have to dig into that. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked at that. Who isn't? In all honesty, who wouldn't want that? I mean, I'm sure there are people who don't. Maybe people who are maybe depressed or have had a lot of struggle in their lives may not want that. And that's okay. It's their soul's journey. They get to choose. But we are definitely on the verge to the place where we can look beyond the limitations in lifespans if we want to. And that's part of the third step, or the third wave, I'm calling it, with the higher self integration, where we worked on spiritual and mental for, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And now your higher self is ready to come in, but the physical body doesn't necessarily support what he or she wants to be able to do. If you're supposed to, let's use me as an example. Usually, before I started to work on all this, by midday, I would need a nap. And if I didn't get a nap, I was toast very early at night. Since I've been working on this piece, I have not needed a nap. I have just as much energy as I did when I woke up this morning. And as I told you, my body believed it was 71. And I'm going to guess people at 71 sometimes need a nap. But now that my body believes it's my current age, I don't need a nap. So, and that's just how your body responds to the belief programming you have. And it's very easy to change. When we're open to this idea, life becomes, it does really come exciting. Some of my clients are older, and we talked about this, about how, especially after retirement, some people just seem to be waiting for death's door, and life becomes about the medications, the hospital visits, the doctor visits, and waiting for when the ship is going to sail, which is a very depressing thing, right? It doesn't have to be that way. And you have control over what your later years look like. And you don't have to suffer or wait for death's door, which is so disheartening to me. And I know a lot of the elderly aren't treated very well because of those sickness and ailments they get stuck in. So we are in a very exciting time, but if you're experiencing any anxiety or have had a little nausea with Schumann resonance spikes, which have been super active, more active than normal, and a lot of sun energy, as well as with the full moon and lunar eclipse next week, know that you may be sensing a future timeline that has already happened, that has been collapsed, that did not have good things on it. So while this is all exciting, to get you even more into the excitement, you make sure you've let go of any future timelines that you may have already lived. Remember, time is fluid. So that the events that are happening now energetically don't remind you of that and don't get you into panic mode. And you can muscle test whether you're from the future. It's very easy to do. I am from the future. Many of my clients are from the future. And that just means that I lived that timeline I'm talking about, and it had a really rough part in it. And I chose to come back for a redo. And, for a easier transition, I hope is my goal, or easier transformational process, or both. So let's get some cards. We'll let Metatron talk in a moment. What do we have right now? I'm hearing keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the prize. And that means inside. not what's happening out here. Keep your eye on your prize. You may not even know what that is, but your higher self does. So, Elaine, you just need to be the walking billboard. Eventually, they're going to want what you have. Because unlike the stuff that you've been shifting with theta healing, which is mostly internal, they don't necessarily see those changes. When you start trying to change the body into something younger, they're going to see it. They're going to see it in your face. They're going to see it in your energy and your endurance. And then you plant the seeds of what's possible. It will come. I was seeing a lot of 1111s today, choice points. That's all you can do. And know that there's a lot of fear. Well, it depends. There's fear of change, but then there's also, depending on cultural and religious upbringing, they may have resistance to the idea that they can rejuvenate their body because somehow it doesn't follow God's law. Thank you, Elaine. I'm glad I could be of service. But that's what I do, right? I share this stuff with you because I want to help you on your own journey, but to believe that you can do the impossible. It may not look like what I've been able to do. You're a different person, but I want you to believe that you can do the impossible too, because you can, just like I can. Elaine can do the impossible. Michelle can do the impossible. Whoever else is listening can do the impossible. Maybe no one's told you that before, but you can. And all it is a choice. If you allow yourself to open up to the idea of being able to do the impossible, you give your guides and your higher self permission to show you how. It's only because you don't ask for help or ask for them to show you what you could possibly do as impossible that you don't see it. You are your own superpower. Okay, I got that card again. You have so much power, untapped power within you, that we're just touching the teeniest part. That I'm hearing tip of the iceberg. But that's where it starts, right? But there's so much underneath that tip of the iceberg that we haven't even touched yet because of the limitations that we've been taught, or maybe have been branded into us through a trauma that we experienced in other lifetimes. Awesome, Michelle, that's awesome. We all have that capability in our own way. We're all unique. We're not supposed to all have the same exact gifts. There might be similarities, but for the most part, we're all different on purpose. But you're still not only special, but you can do the impossible. I'm giving you permission right now to believe that you can do the impossible. What if you had to think about something that you thought was impossible now that you would want? What is it? You don't have to put it in the chat. You can keep it to yourself. And whatever it is, I believe that you can do it. In my line of work, nothing is impossible. I've heard and seen things that 7 or 8 years ago, I probably would have thought was impossible. At this point, I just don't have that anymore. Not just because of things that I've done, it's because of things I've seen other people do, my clients specifically. And if they can do it, you can do it. I can do it, you can do it. Does it take courage and bravery to sometimes step outside the line? Hell yeah. But your soul didn't come to sit on the sidelines. It came to play. And right now, we're being asked if we're ready to get on a new field and explore what's possible. Explore what you might think is impossible. And all it takes is a choice. And say, I'm in. Show me. And you open the door. How it shows up for you will look different for each of us. And we've been getting this card now for weeks. We got the balancing act, and I know we're still in this energy. This is staying in 0 points, not allowing the trials and tribulations of the world to take us off our prize. And there's nothing egotistical and selfish about that. This is what your higher self came here to do. And sometimes you'll waver on that balancing act. It's normal. But remember, you have to get yourself back to 0 points. Because there is where you manifest easier. That's where you have instant manifestations. You get more clarity in your psychic senses. You remember more of who you are and what you're capable of and what you know. So we're still in the energy of balancing. If you're finding yourself being somebody who swings a lot around and doesn't seem to be, take some time to sit with yourself and ask your higher self why that is and what it is that you maybe need to shift so that you have swings, but you come back to center quicker. We haven't seen this card in a couple of months, but I know we've seen it before. So this is unexpected visitor. Now this is this week, I think. Today. 41. We got this back in November. Detours, surprises, and paradigm shifts. Expect the unexpected. No matter how detailed your plans are and how clear you believe the road ahead to be, there are times when the best plans are waylaid by unforeseen circumstances. At first, detours may seem inconvenient, but a surprise turn of events signals that the adventure of life is beginning to get interesting. No one can plan for synchronicity, for fate and destiny to meet, except spirit, who knows what you can't comprehend for now. Life is full of surprises, so stay on your toes and enjoy the exciting new adventure you weren't expecting. There is a plan for your life that may not match up to your agenda. This all has to do with the impossible. We depending on how long you've been in this lifetime, you've been playing the same game, right? You may have new innings or new, I don't know what they're called, new chapters, right? Whether you became a mother or a father or you graduated from high school or college, those are all new chapters. Where we are going now is something brand new. And in a way, I think some of it's going to seem impossible. Now, if you believe in miracles, that's the impossible. And we're being asked to be open to the idea that things that seem impossible now can still happen. And while we're in the balancing act, we just have to stay focused on this. And know that your higher self, your source, and your guides are working for to help build in the next chapter. Not that it's easier. There will be more ease and grace, but allowing a new version of you to be born that explores the impossible. Now, if you find that scary, normal. So, Miriam, I've always felt youthing was possible. It is, along with lots of unlimited possibilities. Yep, but sense a type of block between my spirit's knowing and actualizing in the material. So, through lifetimes, you probably picked up a belief somewhere that is the resistance that you're feeling. So this could come from religion, it could come from cultures, it could come from doctors, it can come from parents, it can come from many places. So what I would do is I would ask if you know how to muscle test. Now, muscle testing can be done with a pendulum, which is much easier to teach. You can ask, either my mind limits my physical body, or my beliefs about my body limit my ability to youth, or something like that. Like there's some, if you take what you wrote to me, you can figure out some beliefs to test with the pendulum. And once you know that, you can do this. Now, there are energy healing modalities like theta healing and what I do to change beliefs. But believe it or not, intention will change beliefs. So, as an example, if you figure out what the beliefs are that are preventing you, like I had a belief that my body couldn't do things that my brain thought my body couldn't do things my physical body did. I had a block. You can ask your guides, whoever they are, or if you know an energy healing modality, to intend to change the belief so that you're not limited by that. Does that make sense? As long as you ask from your heart space and the intention, it will change it. If you get stuck there and it still doesn't work, there's a trauma somewhere that is preventing you from aligning to that. Some of these are really simple to change, like for me to change from being my body thinking I'm 71 to late 40s, that changed really easily. And sometimes it doesn't. We are taught many, many, many things about the body that are very limiting. Our body's innate ability to heal has been overridden by many limiting beliefs. If you break a bone, it may not be pretty. What happens? It will try to heal itself. And again, it may not be perfect depending on how you broke it, but it still does it. If you burn yourself, or if you cut yourself, your body automatically will heal it. Will try to heal it, right? Depending on what your body's condition is. Your body can do so much more. Its whole goal in living is to make sure you're in homeostasis, which is balance, true health. And your body knows how to get there. It's only because of the limiting beliefs that we've been taught generationally that limits our ability to believe that our body could get us back to homeostasis and youthing pretty easily. The other thing that affects greatly our body's ability to do this besides beliefs is stress. And stress is a huge factor in many different ways. Jobs, relationships, upbringings, food, media. There's many sources of it. So stress is another factor in that. And stress can change beliefs. So there's a lot of places it could be. But I would just start with my body believes it can become younger, and see what you get with that. If you get a no, then I would start there and just intend. I intend to show my body that it is possible for it to get younger. And then ask your guides to help you with that. And of course, they will do their magic. So the third card is intention. We are in that place where we're going to flip the page from being in the void to the next chapter very soon. What are you intending to create? Remember, you're a co-creator with Source. You get to create your world, not the collective world, your world. What are you looking to create? What do you want in that next chapter? Now, some of it's already written because your higher self has a plan, but it doesn't mean that you can't still intend to bring other things in that you want to experience. And don't think of it as things. What do you want to experience? Do you want your next chapter to be filled with joy, or know what it feels like to have joy every day, to have energy every day, to have endurance every day, to have happiness every day, gratitude, grace, ease, all of that? In this next chapter, it's not so much about things, material things. It's about how you want to feel. So how do you intend to feel in this next chapter? Expansive, young, rejuvenated, all of those. And with those intentions, you're laying the foundation to experience that in the next chapter in whatever way your higher self sees fit. Because you are still writing that next chapter. Now, the first couple of, I don't know what to call them, like sub-chapters, like sections, may have already been written because your higher self knows what you need to do in order to fully transition to that chapter. But you can still write the rest of it. I know my chapter, in my next chapter, I want to know what it feels like to have things to be joyful every day. And when I'm in that joy spot, everything moves wonderfully. And manifesting, actually, if you can get yourself to joy more often, you'll manifest more easily. It is truly the energy of manifesting. We got Metatron on deck, which I knew he was here before. 2 cards. 2 cards for the Metatron. Now he's around a lot for me. I was asking if they wanted me to share anything from my vacation. I'm getting no, so I won't. Other than sometimes our want to help family sometimes can cause some pain and suffering because we believe in them and the possibilities of what they can do more than they do themselves. And it can be a little crushing, but I think it's all part of the experience. We get 2 cards from Metatron. One of the other things that came up today in a session that some of you might want a muscle test. And if you're not Roman Catholic, you may not know what this is and it may not apply, but you may still want to test it. Because I had it and she had it. I'm stuck in a confessional. Now, if you were raised Roman Catholic or potentially even Christian, you know what that is. And if you are, you have some work to do around the patriarch. There's just a lot of themes that are going on right now, and I'm just trying to give you points to check in on. Interesting that we get that, right? Cards are all over the place right now. So the first card for Metatron is love. I was trying to remember because I was working with Jesus last night in the class I was teaching, and Jesus came through with a rose. And he said to us that we are each a rose. And the rose is tied to the divine feminine. A lot of times Mother Mary is seen with the rose. Let's see what Metatron has to say. He's saying, even though this card refers to the love, relationships, and harmony, what I focus on with this card is not your relationships outside of you, but the relationship you have with yourself. You must remember that everything begins and starts with you. It begins and starts with how you take care of yourself first. You must shower yourself with the same amount of love you shower with others who need it from you. You deserve it just as much as they are, and they do. But your culture and upbringing have taught you differently, that you have to give and give and give and only make time for yourself when you have a moment. I'm asking you to make that moment now, to make yourself a priority with self-love, to be able to get to a point where you can love yourself just the way you are, whatever age you are, whatever your face looks like, body looks like, whatever size you are, it doesn't matter. Allow yourself to feel the love that you have for yourself. Many of you may be focused on wanting more joy, but know that it starts with you allowing yourself to love yourself. All your nooks and crannies, curves. Source doesn't see that, nor do I. I see the beautiful soul inside of you who wants you to pay attention to it and its needs. Its needs can be simple as wanting a different kind of food that maybe you don't give yourself because you've been taught that it would make you fat or make you feel bad. Or maybe your body wants a massage, or just to sit and read a book, just be still for a moment, or maybe take 10 minutes out of your day and just listen to your breath. When you allow yourself to listen to your breath or find your heartbeat, it's like surrounding your body in a giant hug as you connect to it and feel the love of the breath and how breath gives you life. Maybe you feel the pulses of your nervous system in your legs and arms and allow yourself to feel into that and then shower it with love, giving your nervous system a hug. Now, things like massage do that as well, but you don't have to do it that way. It's as simple as allowing yourself to touch your arm, feel your skin underneath and the sensations that it gives you. And intend through that touch that you're sending love to all your cells. It's really simple to do. It's just you have to remember to do it. All your to-do lists, all the people who are begging for your help or you want to help will be there. Even after you spend 5 or 10 minutes just allowing yourself to connect to your body. In this spiritual journey you find yourself on, where you're working on expanding your frequency and rising, don't forget the physical body. You're not rising out of it. You're going to need it in the future. And depending on who you are to become, you may have physical demands that you may seem impossible now. So it's very important that you love your body. Send it love in the cells. Give yourself a hug, a pat on the back with a job well done. Feel the energy on the bottoms of your feet as it connects to the pure essence of Mother Earth's grid. Be grateful for that connection, sending love into the cells in the bottom of your feet that support you as you walk on Mother Earth. And don't stop there. Allow your body to show where it needs love, where your cells and your legs need to feel the love from you through your touch, through your intention. And just in that, your body will rejuvenate itself because it knows that you love it, that you want it to be around in its current state, that you believe in it, and that you want to be in it. So this card is about you loving yourself, and not just the things that you do, but the physicality of who you are. And I know many of you may not think your body's perfect, and that's okay. And dote on the parts that you do love. And eventually, a miracle will happen and you'll see beauty even in the things you don't. But I just ask you to start. The next one is family. We have a lot of things on relationship. Family, circles of life. This has to do with soul family. In this time you're in, know that you are calling in deeper and deeper tendrils to your soul family. Know that many of them are going to show up in places that you may not have expected. And maybe these people are not quite driving with you. But know that that's part of the process. They're coming back to you for you to make something about yourself, or remember why the two of you have separated through space and time. Your earth family is important as well, and things will shift there as well as they too start to come into their rise in frequency. Everyone on earth is going through this. I know you look at some people and think, no way, but they are. It's just that they're doing it in a way that you yourself don't understand, may see as limited or small, but know that it's just the way their higher self planned it to be. So I ask you to be kind and compassionate to them. They don't understand what's happening, but you do. So instead of maybe passing judgment or feeling sorry for them, just show compassion and allow them to see what's possible through you. This is true for your physical earth family as well as your soul family. As the soul family you're calling in now also need to potentially shift based on where you are, but also you may need to shift based on where they are. Every person who comes into your life, whether family or not, are there to teach you something. And in truth, all of Earth's humanity is your family. There isn't anyone on Earth who isn't family, that you aren't somehow connected to through the great source. We're all connected to the great source. So in essence, every person who you know or don't know is family. You don't have to get along with every one of them. There's some that are just not your cup of tea, and that's okay. That's not what family is. You, in your earth family, you have relatives that you maybe just have a parting high, and that's it, and that's okay. You're not meant to get along with everyone. It's perfectly okay. But you must understand that there's no one on earth that isn't part of your family in some extended way. You're all part of the same one. So as you move through your days, you practice self-love. Make sure that you're seeing that the souls that come before you are part of your family. And how would you treat them? So we're done with those two. We're gonna do dragons. I have to do dragons. Yes, dragons. We have 2 dragons tonight. They're limited tonight. So 1 or 2 dragons. Ugh. And these cards I was using was Amanda Ellis's Archangel Metatron Oracle deck. And then this is Dragon Path Oracle cards by Caroline Mitchell. It's at the bottom. So pick dragon 1 or 2. Oh, good grief. I don't want to shuffle that in. I just heard the dragon said we're eternal and we never die. So remember we were talking about youthing. Unless they choose to. And again, it's our choice. I keep getting this. Elaine. Good night, Elaine. Oh, thank you. Something I have to take pictures again. I know something has shifted, so we'll see what that is. But thank you. Maybe it's me changing my body's age from 71 to So both of these cards we've had before. This is the Philosopher. Thank you, Brenton. This is the Philosopher. We've had him before. He said to me, "Have you read a good book lately, Elaine?" I have a new book for you to read. It's Inside Your Heart. This book contains the truth of who you are, the truth of who God created you to be. Every single one of you has this book inside your heart. It is your written truth. It may not be in English very much. Could be in symbols, frequencies, numbers. But know that it contains your truth. If you drew this card, know that I am here to help you access that book that lives within you. The frequencies and codes that allow you to be activated into your new chapter. It helps you remember who you were created to be, not just in this lifetime, but from your initial creation, from Source. You are nearing a time when you will need to remember these, where you will have to remember that your abilities to do the impossible is not new, that it's always been there, and that through many lifetimes you've always challenged status quo and showed what was really possible. You are approaching that time now. You are here to show people what is possible. And while you might think that the age that you're currently at and the state that your body and mental frame is and the people around you and think, how the hell am I supposed to do that? Know that this is exactly what you came to do. So even though you might feel frustrated with the fact that people around you are stuck, who feel like there's no other choice, they just have to continue on, but this is exactly why your soul came. You're here to show them the impossible. And maybe some of them don't get it in this lifetime, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. Some of them won't. But here's the thing with souls. That seed that you planted today or yesterday or the day before will go with them until their next reincarnation. And during that lifetime, that seed that you planted and knowing that the impossible can happen can grow then. Yeah, sure, you may not see it. But no, eventually it's going to grow, whether it be this lifetime or next. Be kind to yourself. It's not your mission to change everyone's mind. Really, what you're here is to show yourself that you can do the impossible. That in other lifetimes you have done the impossible. I could share a few things with you now, but you wouldn't believe me. But know that I know who you have been, and I know what you have done. Good things. And you're edging the possibility of being able to bring some of that forward. And the more you embrace it, the more you get to explore the impossible. This should be exciting to you. If there's any element of dread or frustration, I ask you to look at where that really comes from. Have you lived other lifetimes where people didn't believe in you? Who didn't believe that you could do the impossible? That you could live on the edge of the status quo and create things that may seem unearthly right now. You've been here. You're being given a chance to do it again with maybe greater success. Not because you're here to prove to anyone that you are capable of doing this, because you are. What you're here to do is to prove to your soul that you've moved past the limitations that other people have put on you to make you believe you can't. Instead, nicely give them the finger and say, watch me. Watch me. Now that may seem a little egoic, but it's what your soul wants you to own. You're not doing it to rub it in people's faces. Your soul came here to grow, to expand, to be expansive, to be impossible, to be whatever it wants to be, regardless of other people's things. And you've had many lifetimes where other people's thoughts have limited you. And I and your higher self want to say no more. You have been on earth too many times where you let other people's judgment of you, jealousy, resentment of you, limit you. I want you to stand in your power right now and say no more. I am here to live my fullest potential. And those that are ready to come with me, I invite in. I embrace. I guide. I show. I am the example. Show them what's possible. Show them what they see as impossible as possible. And have compassion and kindness for the people that aren't ready. And you doing that, you may actually get some of those other people who you think may never move to move. But that's not your purpose. Your purpose is not to get the rocks to move. Your purpose is to get the wheels to move that are ready to move now, including your own. And maybe you're just a one-wheel cart to begin with, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. If you lead your life, others will follow because they will want what you have. You allow them to see what's impossible, and they too, their inner child specifically, will want to explore with you. You have this within you, and it's just waiting for you to go, I am limitless. I can do the impossible. I can do things that people can't even dream about right now. But I know in my heart I can do it. Even the things that I can't even picture in my mind yet are possible. And tonight I'm just here to ask you to embrace it. You don't have to know where it leads you. You don't have to know where you're going. That's the impossible miracle part of it. Just be you. Embrace the impossible and watch what happens. Good night, Michelle. That was really powerful. And then we have the second one, which of course is transformation. You're welcome, Elaine. Transformation. I mean, it definitely goes with the message that we just got from the philosopher, right? So I see a butterfly. Transformation Dragon is saying it's time for you to spread your wings. For many years, months, maybe even decades, some of you have been in a chrysalis form, waiting for the right time to come out and spread your wings. The time is now. The time has come. Depending on how long you've been in this chrysalis form, it may seem strange for you to step outside of the box that you found safe for many years. But know that some part of you calls to step outside that box because it knows you are transforming into something brand new. At first, it may look and talk like you, but eventually even that will shift. A new version of you is being reborn. A new aspect of your higher self is being called in. You to experience something new in this next chapter of your life. You may feel afraid to step out of this chrysalis that you found yourself in, or maybe you're loving the fact that it's just comfortable in there, quiet and peaceful. Know that your soul is now ready for you to step forward into something new. There's nothing that you have to do. You just have to agree to come out of your shell. Whatever that looks like for you. You may feel called to cut your hair. You may feel called to get new clothes. You may feel called to go to new places, meet new people, travel new places. Heed the call. Your higher self is marching you towards your next destiny. And in this new chapter, you're only being shown little pieces. Eventually it will all make sense when you look back and go, wow, that's freaking amazing. But you first have to be willing to step outside the chrysalis. Think of it as an activation point. When you step out, say, I'm ready. Let's do this. Show me. But your higher self, your guides can't force you out of your chrysalis. You have to make the intention to do it yourself. You have to say, okay, I'm ready to see where this goes. Maybe you're a little scared or frightened at the possibility of what might lie out there. And that's okay. Some are scared, some just know, and that's okay too. I want you to know other people are just as afraid as you are, and that you're not stepping out alone. There are people exactly where you are, wherever that might be. You're transforming together. You're not transforming alone. While you might have found yourself in this calm chrysalis for months or years, maybe you felt alone. But as you come out of this chrysalis and allow yourself to accept, fully accept and step into this transformation that is happening for you, you will find other people who are in the same stage as you are. And you will empower each other to have the bravery and courage to step forward outside of the safe place that you found yourself in for months or years. And that's all I really ask of you to do tonight. The transformation piece is going to happen regardless of what you do or don't do. It's written in your DNA. It's what you came here for. It's what your higher self signed up for. So there's no stopping it. The thing that you have to do is say, I'm ready. And when you say you're ready, you bring ease to the transformation. Your higher self goes, okay, well, here's the diagram and plan, and we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, because you're open. When you deny the urges that you have to go to different places or just step outside your norm, you make it harder for your higher self to direct you. You mistrust your intuition. You deny your intuition. You deny the impulses to do things differently. It will still be done. It's written. But you get to choose on how easily the transformation for you come with ease and grace or sacrifice and struggle. It's your choice. And know that your higher self doesn't want you to do the sacrifice and suffering route. He or she is over that and want to move into a new world of ease and grace, play and discovery, and fun. Maybe you find it hard to imagine that such a world can exist, but you don't have to. All you have to do is believe in the impossible, and then the magic magically happens. That's right. All your heart desires, you are worthy of all of them. It's only through, trauma in this lifetime, potentially other lifetimes, that we're led to believe that we're not worthy of it. If your desires are true heart desires, there's no separation from them. They're already yours. So thank you for tonight. Hope you enjoyed this. If you like this, please like the video so it helps me out. And I don't think I won't be on next week. So I won't be on again until the first week of June, Thursdays. It seems to be an every other week thing. Thank you for tonight, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.